Hey guys, welcome back to the Hez Project. I'm John Ordalaza, and I'm here, finally here on Christmas Day, reviewing Wonder Woman 1984. The film opened not just in theaters, but on HBO Max, and that was an interesting experience. It definitely wasn't the theatrical experience that we all hoped and dreamed of, but nonetheless, we're here, we're watching the movie, because it was supposed to come out in like 2019, but here we are. This movie, I loved it. I really loved this movie. It was so fun and just new. Like, it was vastly different from the first one. Yeah, I really do enjoy the first one, but I loved this movie for an entirely new set of reasons. Like, I'll get into those in a little bit. I'm going to try to refrain from talking about spoilers so I can have more of you guys come in and enjoy the review. So, spoiler free, guys, don't worry. The movie is once again directed by Patty Jenkins, and yeah, I've only seen her Wonder Woman films, but she is a brilliant director. I love her choices and her style that she brings, and it's just different. This is what DC needs. It doesn't need to copy Marvel. It needs to allow directors to do their own thing. And that's what I thought Joker did well, and that's what I think this movie does phenomenally. Patty Jenkins, great job. Great job with this film. I cannot stress that enough. It is really good. We have Gal Gadot once again as Wonder Woman, and I think she did another great job. I honestly, I adore her so much more in this film than I did in the first one. She's more confident. She's more powerful in this film. And Gal Gadot does a really great job portraying this character of an Amazonian warrior. Like, it's awesome. And Chris Pine is back again as Steve Trevor. You know, there's a interesting way that they decided to bring him back. I know there was a lot of theories going around of how they would do it, and I'm not going to say how they did it, but the way they did it, I appreciated. I have no problem with it. I think it was really nice, and it tied into everything in the film, and yeah, I was okay with it. And he was a welcoming presence in this film. It was not just shoehorned in. It actually felt like it belonged. And that's what I appreciate. There was really nothing that felt shoehorned in. And I would say that about the third act of the first film. I didn't have a big issue with it, but it does feel just slightly detached from everything else that went on in the first film. However, in this one, everything feels more coherent. Everything feels like it was planned from the start and made it all the way to the finish line. Great job, Patty. Right out of the gate, the first thing I noticed in this film, and I knew I was going to love throughout the entire film, was the score composed by Hans Zimmer. Man, let me tell you something about the score. This score was freaking awesome. I loved it from the beginning score, the beginning theme song, all the way just through all the scenes. Every bit of this score hit different. It hit so much differently than I've ever heard any DC score, really. I mean, I love the Man of Steel score. I really do. The first score for Wonder Woman wasn't bad. I actually really enjoyed it too. Yeah, hell, even Batman v Superman score is really great, despite what I think about that film, which I will not get into right now. But I've liked generally all the scores for the DC films, but this one hit a little different. And I think it's really cool that we got to see Hans Zimmer compose all of the Trinity members' theme songs at least one point. He directed, the Dark Knight trilogy, Man of Steel, and now Wonder Woman 84. Freaking awesome. So the villains of this film, we have Pedro Pascal playing Maxwell Lord and Kristen Wiig playing Barbara Minerva / Cheetah. And although these two aren't mind-blowing villains, they're not the top-tier Thanos level villain. Of course, we weren't expecting that. I wasn't expecting that. However, comparing those two to the three villains of the first film, both of them had more charisma than the best villain out of the three. The other two were garbage, but Ares, who was slightly more compelling, but he didn't really have much to begin with, these two, I thought, blew those three out of the water completely. Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig were phenomenal, especially Kristen Wiig. I did not expect her to be this good. I was skeptical going into this, thinking she may not hit it, but no. She does. She does. We knew Pedro Pascal was gonna be great. He's been in The Mandalorian the past couple of weeks. By the way, guys, go watch my Mandalorian reviews. We've seen him. We know he's a great actor, and he did not disappoint in this film. He actually kind of like he may have stole the show a little bit, in my opinion. I thought he was really good in this movie. The second thing I noticed, like right out of the gate, in that second scene, was the way the film looked. Like I guess the filter or the way it was shot. Everything had just slight more grain to it. Like I was saying to my brother, it feels like a film that was shot in the late 90s, early 2000s, with just a little bit of grain, a little more grain than usual, than what film movies would look like. And it just added a different level to this. It wasn't just, oh, here's a filter for Wonder Woman 84 because it takes place in the 80s. No, it's not just a filter. It is like a way of filmography and cinematography in this film. And I really appreciated that. It added something different to this movie that really no other superhero movie has had. Maybe older ones, of course, but this honestly feels like it was filmed a few years after one of Christopher Reeve's Superman movies. Like, it's shocking. It's actually really cool the way this movie looks. It's not super distracting. It was just a little eye-catching at first, but I was like, oh, I like this. Special effects and CGI, they're okay. They're really good. I'm not super picky about that stuff, unless it's just that bad that I'm gonna notice it. But I thought everything looked polished. It looked clean. There was a little part in the opening fight scene at the mall, nitpicky, but everything else I thought looked pretty clean, a little crisp. I liked it all. And once again, the relationship between Diana and Steve is back again. We don't see it like super prominent, like the first film. We get glimpses of it because, they're setting up other things. We're doing things with Barbara. We're doing things with Maxwell Lord. They're actually taking time from the movie and, like, expanding upon the villains, not just, like, popping in for 30 seconds and be like, oh, you're doing villainous things. Like, they're actually making these characters as opposed to freaking Stryker from X-Men in the first Wonder Woman film just snorting a bunch of poison, and then he turns out to be absolute nothing in that movie. Same with the Poison Lady with the quarter mask. Turns out to be absolutely nothing. Maxwell Lord is constantly being built up in all of these scenes, and it leads to a really great payoff at the end of the film. You really feel for not just Diana, not just Wonder Woman, not just Steve Trevor, you feel for the villains as well. Like, who would have thought? You can't feel for villains? It's not just heroes and villains. They're all characters. And if you can make me care about the heroes and the villains equally, you did a good job. Hey, Patty, you did a good job. In terms of scope, I feel like the first film really hit it home with that. It felt more important because there was a lot going on. Of course, there was World War I, and there was the introduction to Diana as a character and her becoming Wonder Woman, a person of her own, branching off from the Amazonians, and Themyscira becoming her own. And that's all cool. That was really cool to see her, battle on the front lines in World War I. It was really cool to see that. However, there wasn't an overarching message. Granted, a message isn't needed for a movie, but if you got a message for a movie and you can hit home with it while being a dope movie, you're on a whole nother level. And that's what I think this movie has over the first film. It has a really incredible message, in my opinion. I think the opening scene of this film, which takes place in Themyscira, it shows a younger Diana, and that scene kind of sets up the message that is played out very well in every scene that follows until the end of the movie. It really does add everything together very coherently, whereas the final act of the first film felt just a slight bit detached. Still enjoyed it though. It was really cool, really epic. This movie didn't need to be overly epic. It did not need to up the epicness of the first film, if that makes sense. It just needed to do its own thing. I feel like Patty did exactly what she wanted to do with this film. I heard she didn't get to do everything in the first film that she wanted to, but in this one, it was like Patty and Gal unleashed. And I loved it. It was a nice message. I did tear up just a little bit. Just a little bit. But nonetheless, guys, Gal Gadot, fantastic. Chris Pine, amazing. Everyone. Leave a like and comment down below. Have you seen Wonder Woman? And let me know what you thought of the film. I want to share some thoughts. I want to share some theories. I may or may not do a spoiler review for this because it was really hard to not talk about anything that happened in this movie. But hopefully I didn't spoil anything for you guys. Don't hate me in the comment section or anything. Anyways, guys, stick around the channel. I'm going to be doing reviews for Cobra Kai Seasons 1 and 2 coming real soon in the lead up to Cobra Kai Season 3. Stick around, guys, because there is more to come.